High Road Conversations, where we explore what it really means to lead with integrity, purpose, and impact, especially when the easier path is right in front of you. I'm Zach Parker, Navy veteran, leadership coach, and lifelong student of what it means to take the high road when it isn't easy. In this podcast, we dig into the moments that test leaders, the decisions that define them, and the lessons that keep them grounded as they grow. Because leadership isn't about perfection. It's about choosing the high road, one decision at a time. I'm joined today by my co-host, Evangeline Piscasio, transformational leadership coach, and someone deeply committed to helping people grow through meaningful connection. Together, we sit down with leaders, builders, and thinkers who are choosing to lead differently, not through power or position, but through principle. Today, we'll be chatting with Jason Adams, a seasoned entrepreneur with more than 25 years of experience and over $100 million in real-world deal volume. Jason has built his reputation around deal-making and negotiation strategy, partnering with leaders like John Maxwell and Roddy Galbraith. But behind the deals is a deeper story about intentional growth, resilience, and rebuilding after loss. In this conversation, we explore relationship-driven negotiation, belief as a leadership anchor, and how intentional personal growth changes not just your results, but your entire trajectory. Before we jump in, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you stay connected to future conversations. And as you watch, let us know your biggest takeaway in the comments. So I'm joined today by Jason Adams, and he is the CEO of Fastlane Leadership. Is that correct?
Yeah. Fastlane leadership. Get in the fast lane, Zach. Get in the fast
Awesome.
lane.
Yeah. I see you got the Ferrari and the Lambo shields back there behind you. That's two of my favorite cars as well.
You got to have one.
As, you know, I live in Kentucky, and so my favorite car of all time has to be, it kind of has to be just the Corvette, right? I mean,
I agree with you. And it's interesting you bring that up. Maybe I should find me a not a Lamborghini, a Corvette background LED sign thing because I don't know if you know this. We have 3 Corvettes.
oh, really?
Amy and I are big Corvette fans. Yeah. I mean
Awesome.
that's like the American dream car.
Yeah. Well, so the audience understands Jason and I know each other from Maxwell Leadership. But there's a guy in Maxwell Leadership, Bruce
Peeper.
Pieper, yeah. And he ran a mastermind for us whenever I first started. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But he works at NASA down in Huntsville,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows a cousin of mine. And my cousin down there, last time I talked to him, he had 3 Corvettes. I went down there to visit him.
Nice.
They were like a 65, a 67, and a 68, I think. And he had them all. They were all in various, you know, levels of being worked on. But
Well, the old cars are kind of like us, right? They're always a work in progress. You never stop
yeah,
messing with them. They can always get better.
I had a 68 Mustang when I was in college, and that was a lot of fun. I learned how to work on vehicles, and I learned that, when I got older and bought these brand new vehicles, that there was no chance I was going to be able to do anything on those. I
Yeah.
could change anything. I could do anything on the old Mustang, but the new thing, I don't even open the hood most of the time.
Well, there's so much electronics, and if you don't have the computer software, right, which is like a 5, 10, 15, 20, depending on the car. Like the Lamborghini software was, well, that's the sign over there. It was a $40,000 piece of software.
Yeah,
And unless you have the software to be able to like see all the codes and the data and what's happening, you can't, it's hard. I mean, there's still nuts and bolts, right? It's not like they've changed that design, but it's hard to get any information out of them unless you have the software equipment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about leadership today, and one of the things that I think is important for people to understand, if we're going to talk about leadership, is your personal journey. So can you tell us a little bit about like how you got to where you are today?
Oh man, that's how much time you got, Zach?
As much as you want.
Well, I've always been um I want to say it right. I've always found myself in leadership type positions. And I maybe would even say I've always been infatuated kind of or have had this um desire for leadership. Like I'm a big car guy, you know that. And when I was a kid and my parents got divorced, dad got me pretty much. My brother didn't play with it, but a go-kart and a mini bike. That led into a three-wheeler, dirt bike, all that stuff. But when I would ride that stuff, I mean, like I would pretend I was in a race. And not only was I in a race, but I was in the lead. And so I would literally be kind of coming around, here comes Jason around, turn number 4 for the win. And just playing around. And if I think back to my sports days, I was the pitcher for the baseball team. That's in a sense, they're the leader of the game. And then I played hockey. And when I played hockey, I was on the front line, in the center. And so I always kind of had this maybe a leadership ability, I guess. It's hard to see myself because I'm the pitcher that's in the frame, right? Like I
Mm.
can't see my nose right now, but I can see your nose, and you can see my nose, but you can't see your nose. So it's hard to see the whole picture. And then that kind of led me into when I was 15 years old, getting a job at a car dealership, just washing cars, $50 a week, and and that turned into me, selling cars there, running the dealership, then owning the dealership. It's almost, Zach, as if I kind of like had this idea that I like to, lead in a sense, but I also found myself, or maybe I found that God was putting me in these leadership positions. But really, my leadership journey as far as like personal growth leadership, right? That didn't start until really until I like hit rock bottom and went through like a super deep valley, and that's when God brought a guy named John Maxwell to my life, and that changed everything for me, which was interesting because I'm a person of faith, and whether your audience is or not, it's okay. We still value them, so they don't have to be. It's okay. But I was at church during 21 days of prayer. We would do it every January, kind of kick off the year of putting God first, and I had a prayer card on the stage that was praying that God would bring me a mentor who was two things. And this was on my prayer card. They were focused on their faith. That was their primary focus in life. Because as a person of faith, I wanted to make sure that who I allowed to speak into my life was on that same path. Very important to me. But they also had an entrepreneurial spirit, meaning like they like business and they like to make money. They like the leadership aspect. And so it was interesting because 4 years after that prayer is when John called and's like, I'm looking for the next generation of leaders. Is that you? And I was like in the valley, and it was like, no, that's not me at all. But come to find out, it doesn't leadership's not positional. It's not positional at all. Anybody can be a leader, no matter where they are. John even did a lesson called "Leading from the Middle of the Pack." Right, no matter where you are, what season of life you're going through, you can be, and you're called to be a leader. But yeah, I mean, God's always kind of had me in these leadership roles. Like my wife and I lead a real estate brokerage. So there's another leadership position. Of course, I have the fast lane leadership, which is, about personal growth and leadership development, right? So there's another like leadership position. And and I guess I didn't go to college. So I learned at a young age, right out of high school, about you got to learn to lead yourself well. And you understand this. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, right? You're a speaker. You do five things well. I know this. You speak, coach, teach, train, and play leadership game. And so, as an entrepreneur yourself, you understand that if you roll out of bed and don't do anything for the day, well, you don't make any money, right? And you don't get any results. The result is you get to sit on the couch and eat a bag of chips and some hot cocoa or something. So I learned right out of high school pretty much if I wanted to be successful, I had to lead myself well. And in business, that means you have to take action. You have to take massive action.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The there were so many things in there that were interesting little, like tales to pull on. But one of the things that I thought was really great was the um so there's a guy named Peter Daniels, and now I'm struggling to I had it. It was right there, and now it's gone. There's a this guy Peter Daniels, he's one of my favorite speakers. Um, he he was one of the guys that I listened to when I first started doing personal development stuff, and he speaks in churches. He's a guy. He's an Australian guy, and he's got an amazing journey. But he talked about, you said you didn't go to college, and he talks about he never went to college. He was 26 years old. He was an illiterate bricklayer,
Mm.
and he said one of the best lines I ever heard about going to college. He said, "I'd never had the disadvantage of, public education."
Well, okay. I love that you say that. So, my mom was a professional educator for 35 years in the state of Virginia. She's still a professor today at a college, and
Hmm.
she got her bachelor's, her master's, and her doctorate all in education. And so, growing up, it was, you get good grades, go to college, and I was like, the black sheep of the family. But I've come to learn, Henry Ford, guy who built the earth in automobiles, had a third grade education.
Yeah.
So like, I love that I love that. I didn't have the disadvantage of going to college because isn't that what I mean? That's what I don't know. Did society teach you that growing up? Is you had to have college? I mean,
Oh yeah, and I went to college. I graduated from college.
good job, good job.
It was all the. I mean, it's all the things that you're kind of expected to do, right?
Right.
In society.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm finding is I don't know if it's just one of those things where, like, whenever you go to buy a car and you're kind of thinking about it before you buy the car, and then you start seeing that car everywhere. And you're like, oh, there's a green one, there's a blue one, there's a silver
Yep.
one. That effect that happens. I don't know if this is what's going on, but the more leaders I meet, the more successful leaders I meet, the more I realize, oh, that guy didn't go to college. That lady didn't
Yeah.
go to college. These people who are at the top of their game, they never went to college to get, to learn anything about business. I think it was in Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad,
Yeah.
Poor Dad, where he talks about, if you want to learn business, go into business. Don't
Right.
go
Right.
college to learn business from people who've never been in business.
I just read something about that. I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago, and I wish I could recall the book. Maybe it was like Getting the Yes or Influence or something about the mind. But anyways, it was like, why would you ever learn about business from somebody that doesn't have any business experience? They've never had a business. That'd be the worst person to learn from. I mean, but that's what happens, and I don't
Yeah.
shame anybody. There's no condemnation or anything. I mean, I think that's just what people think they're supposed to do. And let me add, Zach. Let me add. I do go to college now. I am enrolled in college. I'm a straight A student. I've made the dean's list every semester.
Nice.
But I'm not doing it for some sort of. I'm doing it for personal growth.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is just always trying to better yourself. And if we're talking about business and college, I think anybody that you want to learn from, you want to make sure they have the results in life that you want. So if you want to be a good business, if you want to be a good entrepreneur, a good business leader, then learn from somebody who's been down that road, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like I love my marriage, right? I love my wife. I would never take marriage advice from somebody that's been divorced 4 times.
Well,
I'm not.
they have learned a lot.
Have they? Have they? Because you would think if, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you've, oh man, we can get in the weeds. I'm just thinking though, if if they had really learned, they wouldn't have consistently gone down the same road time and time and time again.
Yeah. No,
So,
I agree. There's there's evidence in the repetition, right? So,
right,
like, you keep making the same mistake over and over and over again, you probably haven't learned anything. Why on earth would I take advice from you?
correct. Yep.
Um, what was I just gonna say? There was a well, it's gone. The so we'll transition here briefly to another part of the. I want to go back, really. It's not transitioning to another part of the journey. It's like kind of going back a little bit. Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. Robert Kiyosaki again. So uh, he was talking about when he went to college, right? His father. I'm sure you've read the book, but Rich Dad Poor Dad. He talks about his father, who was a college professor, and his best friend's father was his rich dad, was the the businessman that was kind of a mentor in his life. And so when he decided to go to college after high school, his father, his biological father, was really proud of him. And he was like, "Yeah, you're doing the right thing." What his biological father didn't understand, though, was that Robert was being guided by his rich dad to do things intentionally, right? Like Maxwell talks about.
Yeah.
You do things on purpose so that you can learn something specific. He wanted to go to college so he could learn the skill that he was going to college for. And then he joined the Marines because he wanted to learn leadership and how to fly a helicopter because it'd be really cool to fly a helicopter.
It would be really cool to fly a helicopter.
And then, he went to sales, I think. I think he got a job in sales at Xerox or something. And his biological father was really upset about that. Like, how could you do this? And he's like, Dad, you don't understand. I'm doing these things so that I can learn specific skill sets for later in my life whenever I am
Yeah.
going to be using them for something. And so with that backdrop, what is it that you learned you talked a little while ago about your low point, right? The time where you're in your life where you lost everything and you kind of had this reset. So what was it that you learned about yourself that was like a limiting belief or something that you needed to change in order to move forward? And something that you needed to change inside yourself, or a perception that the world had that had to be fixed, had to be corrected before you could move forward.
It's a great question. Two things come to mind, Zach. One is the second one has escaped me, just like the Robert Kiyosaki stuff escaped you. God's going to give it right back. But the first thing I had to learn is it was interesting, my journey. When a lot of people, from my experience of meeting people, when they come to faith, they're kind of at a low point in life. I wasn't. I was actually on the mountaintop, and I remember people asking like, "What's your story? What's your story?" I didn't know what a story was. I mean, because again, my story was since high school. I got up and I bought and resold automobiles, cars and trucks. That's it. From the moment I woke up to the moment my head hit the pillow, that was my life. So I knew nothing about stories. That's what I did. So I think when I hit the valley, I was a person of faith, but that's where I really had to work on my identity because for years, I still love cars, of course, right? But my identity was like, I have these things. That was like who I was. And it's great and they're fun and I think everybody should have one. I mean, because they're a blast. But at the same time, that wasn't my identity. My identity was, and I was at a speaking event the other day. One of the speakers said, "I'm all right with my right hand, but I have nothing left with my left hand. Can I be all right with nothing left?" And that really hit home because when you have nothing left, can you still be all right? Where is your identity found? And so, I had to rediscover who I was and really whose I was. And so I was all right with nothing left, which was great. I'm still waiting on God to give me the second part. Oh, the second thing is that, and it's thanks to the Maxwell team, I learned you don't know what you don't know until you know what you didn't know. And I learned how much I didn't know about hiring and taking, kind of setting benchmarks and things to look for. I kind of thought, and I know attitude is a big thing, but there was a part of me that was, if I see somebody that has the results, then that's kind of what I would like to have, and the other stuff didn't matter. And what I should have done is put together benchmarks and use DISC. If you've not, you're familiar with DISC. I didn't know about DISC like I do now, and I wish then I would have known because I would have been able to put correct people in correct positions. And even if they weren't the correct person for that correct position and didn't, maybe they weren't necessarily not a fit for the organization, they could have been a fit for the organization, but there probably could have been people that shouldn't have been a fit because of a values mismatch, that shouldn't have been a part of the organization that were a part of the organization. So that was a big miss for me. But aside, it wasn't a miss. I mean, I didn't know, and I could go back and tell you all the things I do different. But for me, the biggest thing was And I tell you something else because I was 33. I mean, I was 33 when I hit the valley. And when I say hit the valley, I mean, I lost everything but my family and my house. It was $1 million lesson. So it was a very expensive lesson for me. And the question I asked myself, and I think it's a great question for anybody to ask themselves is, can I do it again? Do I still have what it takes to be successful in life? Because here I was 33 years old. So if I had been working since I was 17 out of high school, I've now been working for 16 years professionally and 16 years of nothing but success, right? Professionally. Do I still have what it takes inside of me to go do that all over again, but exponentially better? And that kind of came into the personal growth thing because if I was going to do it, I was going to have to be intentional, not just to be successful in business, but really rebuild who I was, right? The all right with nothing left. So that was a big lesson, very big lesson. Just who I was, whose I was, right? Because I think if somebody doesn't have a foundation of faith, that it's kind of there's standing on sinking sand, and it was the faith part that got me through. It says, "Wait, I am intelligent, I am equipped, I am empowered, I'm accepted and approved, I'm talented, I'm creative, I'm confident." Because God is, I am.
Yeah.
So that was a big, and that's why the college I go to now is I'm pursuing a certificate in biblical leadership.
Wow.
And I only want to strengthen my faith, strengthen the word of God that's planted in me, so that way God can use me, wherever I am, to kind of be that anchor for someone else, to be able to sow those seeds into
Mhm.
somebody else that might go through something of what, maybe I went through, or just a word of encouragement. Because I think, and I love what Mark Cole said, CEO of Maxwell Leadership. He said, everyone deserves to be led well.
Mhm.
You deserve to be led well, right? Your family deserves to be led well. The people that listen to this podcast deserve to be led well. And the first person they have to start with is themselves, because they can't give somebody what they don't have in them.
Yeah.
The biggest learning lesson for me to wrap that whole present up was, really, really work on who I was, right? My identity. It's not my identity is not found in cars. My identity is not found in expensive things. My identity is found in I am a child of the Most High King.
Man, powerful stuff. I love the all right with nothing left. I think a lot of people get really anxious, really, when times are challenging, it can be very difficult to appreciate what you do have because you focus on all the things that you don't have.
It's right.
And when you do that, all you do is kind of compound the uh, the problems that you're facing, right? Because now you're not just facing the actual problems that you have, you're also facing your own inner critic that is
Yep.
just going wild with all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're becoming the problem that you have instead of the solution to the problems that are external.
Yep. Yeah. That's so good. That's where the whole, mindset, you got to work on your mindset, right? Which the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Jesus says, take every thought captive, make it obedient to Christ. If Christ came to serve, not be served, well, the thoughts that we have, they come from somewhere. You don't just get your
Hmm.
own thought. My belief is that the thought either comes from the pit of hell or from the heavenly hosts. And so how does that thought serve us? And so if the thought doesn't serve us well, then maybe the thought has to go. Maybe I need to get a new thought. So
Yeah.
just like you said, it's really what happens between the ears.
So you've mentioned several times that and so Evangeline and I, and for the audience, Evangeline, she may be popping in here in a few minutes. I don't know.
Woo!
So we'll wait and see. But um, we've tried to cultivate a guest list that is more focused on Christ than not. We're not specifically aiming for guests that are Christians, but we don't want people coming on here and dropping F bombs, right? Like that would
Come on,
be
man.
that would be not the right way. But you know, that's kind of the culture that we're trying to cultivate here is one that is respectful no matter what your faith is, and so I do appreciate all the stuff that you're talking about with respect to your own personal faith. And what I would like to know is how does that show up for you personally in your business?
Just comes out, man. I mean, so the pastor of my church, well, he's in Dallas, Texas now. He said something a couple years ago that really stuck, and he said your first mission, your first priority is to minister. So like you might be a speaker, but above a speaker, you're a minister. Above a coach, you're a minister. Above a real estate broker, you're a minister. Above a business owner, you're a minister. That's as what's the Bible say? Go make disciples of all nations. Right? That's like the Great Commission. I tell you, Zach, I've actually had people that have said to me, Jason, you need to stop being so open about your faith.
Hmm.
Um, I've been having some family members say that, and I can't stop. It's the best thing that's ever happened in my life. Why would I ever stop doing that? Why would I ever stop staring about where I know miracles can be found at? Things that don't make sense out of the ordinary can happen in somebody's life. Why would I ever stop sharing about the goodness of God in my life that somebody else could find that same hope, could find that same way in their own life? So it just comes out, man. Matter of fact, about I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago now. 2 years ago, Amy and I went. Amy's my wife, and we went out to meet some new friends and clients they were looking to purchase a home. We thought they were looking to purchase a home, so we're there, and we're actually in the basement of the house. And they started sharing about why they were moving, because just like you're asking me questions, you ask
Mm.
questions. You want to kind of find the root, and so you can serve them. And the husband lost his job, and they couldn't afford where they were at. They were actually behind. Actually, they had told us that they had turned off the upstairs HVAC to not run it because they couldn't afford the bill, but it was cooler in the basement, so they were staying in the basement so they could stay cool and not have to run the air. And so in that moment, I ministered to them. I didn't plan to minister to them. I mean, but what does Jeremiah 29:11 say? It says that God knows good, great plans for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you. It doesn't say that bad things won't come your way or that, valleys don't come to people's lives. It could be in business, it could be in, health issues, it could be relational, whatever. It doesn't say that stuff won't come, but he says that even when that stuff comes, the plan is still to prosper you. And it was very interesting. I didn't go there to sell them a house that day. I went to minister. Okay. Oh man, this is what I wasn't planning on this at all. 2021, John was going to go speak in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It was the first time John was speaking since COVID, right? Because everything shut down. First time publicly speaking. And I told Amy and my buddy Siebert, I have to go. Don't know why I'm saying that. I have to be there. And so when we were kind of getting ready to board the plane, I saw where you could get 10 tickets and be a table sponsor for $900. All right, so tickets were like $100 a piece, but if you got 10, you got a $100 10% discount, and now you got a sponsorship level. For $5,000, you got X amount of tickets, and you got maybe your name on the merchandise and a name on the giant TV screen, LED wall that they're going to have that day. For $15,000, you get this sponsorship level, but for 25 grand, Zach, you get X amount of tickets, but you also get a private sponsored luncheon with John. Now, for those that might not know who John is that watch this or listen, John Maxwell is the leading authority on leadership in the world, right? And I mean, number one leadership expert. And so it's kind of like, what would you pay to sit at the feet of Jesus? I'd give anything. I mean, right? So it was like, so I messaged the coordinator and I said, hey, I would love to have a ticket to that private sponsored luncheon. So the conference was on Tuesday. We fly in. We get there Monday morning. So we're really there a whole 24 hours early. Now, if you ever go to Sioux Falls, Zach, there's nothing there.
Mhm.
Nothing. But there is a river that runs right through downtown called the Sioux River. And if you ever go, it is beautiful. I mean, like a Disney fairy tale, like gorgeous, bright green grass, the total peace. There's nobody. The river, there's like all these little waterfalls. I mean, it's like literally out of a Disney movie, and it's serene. So we're sitting there, and um, I'm sitting in the river. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just enjoying this peace, right? Amy's on the phone, 50 yards away, talking to somebody about real estate. My buddy Siebert's 50 yards in the other direction, talking to his dad. So I'm just You say I'm like meditating, right? I'm not praying, but I'm meditating.
Mm.
Out of nowhere, this dude who I never saw sits right next to me. And I'm like, bro, this river's like 100 yards wide and there's nobody else here. Why are you sitting next to me? What in tarnation? So he asked me, he's like, hey, do you know how to get to that bridge back there? A couple hundred yards back, but up probably 75 to 100 yards was what I imagined to be an old railroad bridge. Like it was kind of like an abandoned railroad bridge. And so
Mm.
first, the center, Jason, was like, I don't know, dude. If you want to get to the bridge, just start walking that way. And I guess you figured out that you step by step. And then it clicked like, Jason, come on, man. Why would somebody ask how to get to the bridge unless they're planning to jump?
Mm.
Like, get it together, man. And so then I started asking him questions. And I found out that he had moved to Sioux Falls 2 weeks before. His mom lived there. He was from California. She was very ill, going through a very hard time. He had no friends, no job, no money. So obviously, not only was he going through a time because he's getting ready to lose his mom, but he's also going through a time in life. So I asked if I could pray for him, and I prayed for him right there on the spot. When he left, he got up, raised his hands to heaven, and if you could imagine the sidewalk, it's like a snake sidewalk. It's like, loops and swoops and stuff. And he literally walked until he was totally out of sight, hands raised to heaven, and on his tiptoes, like he was walking on air. It was
Mm.
wild. It wasn't 10 minutes after I prayed for that guy. Ding! Hey, Jason, great news. It was the event coordinator. I'm able to get you a ticket to that private sponsored luncheon. Just bring $50 for the cost of the meal. I
Wow.
didn't just get one ticket to that luncheon, I got 3 tickets because then a leader serves the troops first. What kind of leader would I be if I got that ticket and I didn't give it to my wife, value her over myself? What kind of leader would I be if I didn't value my friend over myself? I had to get more tickets. Surely there's a way. I thought I was going to Sioux Falls to see John, and I did. I didn't go to Sioux Falls to see John. I went there because somebody knew that I would meet a guy in the middle of a river who I wasn't expecting to meet that I needed to minister to. So how does it come out in me in business? Well, it's kind of like whenever the Holy Spirit leads, it just comes out, and I kind of live a life of surrender, saying, God, use me in whatever moment, anytime. It doesn't matter. Let me be a vessel for you in your kingdom.
So I think you just found your next IMC speech.
It was wild. I mean, I have a video. I'll send you the video after this so you can see it. Amy took a video of me praying for the guy.
Yeah.
And you can see the water, just flowing, and it was cool. And but you think of the timing, right? Like the pastor taught me obedience brings blessings. Think about your kids, right? Like
Yeah.
if dad says, kids, clean your room, that'll bring a blessing, or obedience. But as adults, who leads us? Now out of the workplace, right? So if you're in a workplace and you have a boss or something or a manager that leads you, that's different. But I'm saying in life, who leads you? And so
Mm.
if you believe that you're being led, of course, go back to the faith. If you're being led by the Spirit of God, then you would have a supernatural trust that obedience will bring blessing. But think of the timing. I was not prepared to minister to that dude. I was not prepared. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was kind of, you know, the worst of them said, well, bro, let's go start walking to the bridge. Like, what are you waiting for? Hurry up already. Go jump. You're interrupting my time. But it wasn't a few minutes after I prayed for that. It was like that prayer unlocked a key to a door that I didn't see that got me blessings for $150 that a president of a bank, and I'm not recalling the bank, I met the president obviously, paid $25,000 to be in that room. So I think that when you live that life kind of surrendered and obedient and let God use you to minister to people wherever you are, I think that does bring a blessing. And you don't know when it's going to come, you don't know where it's going to come, you don't know who it's going to come from, but I just have the belief, right? So you will reap what you sow. So what does
Yeah.
John say? Like, I'm just a seed sower. Everywhere I go, I try to sow good seeds.
That is such a powerful story. And I mean, it reminds me of a story from my past that, and I typically don't like to get into things like this, but I feel like I should share this because it's another example of this. And I think it might be good for people to hear that it's not just You know, it's not just you. It's not just one time. It's all the time for everybody who does this kind of thing, right? So, years ago, this was like 10, 12 years ago, I was working for the state of Kentucky, and I did not like my job. I did not like it. Every day that I drove to work, and it was only, 2 or 3 miles from my apartment to the office. Every day that I drove home or drove to work and drove home from work, I was yelling at myself the entire way, you know, all 5 minutes of the drive, just furious the entire time. And because there was just so many things that were just ridiculous about that job. But this one day in particular, when I was coming home, had been a particularly bad day, and this was like mid-July, so it was really hot. And I get home and I open the garage, and I'm getting ready to pull the truck into the garage, and my wife comes down and she's got a plate of uh, 6 hamburgers on it. Now there were only 3 of us. My older son at the time was only like a year and a half old, so he wasn't eating a hamburger. But my older daughter, me, and my wife, we would all eat hamburgers. But she had 6 hamburgers on the plate, and I'm thinking, why do you have 6 hamburgers on this plate? It's hot outside. And she says, before I even get out of the truck, she's standing there with the plate of hamburger. And she's like, I want you to cook these on the grill. And I'm like, it's 105 degrees outside. I don't want to stand over 150, 200 degree grill for the next 20 minutes. Whatever. Just give me the hamburgers. And so I threw them on the grill, and I'm just cooking them and sweating, just pouring off of me, and I'm still just mad from the work that I've been doing. I finish everything up. I turn the grill off and I go inside. And I got the hamburgers on the plate, and as I walk in the door, so the apartment, it had a garage on the first floor, and then it was like a townhouse, right? So you go up the stairs to the main floor and then up the stairs again to your bedrooms.
Yep, yep.
So as I come in through the garage, um, I'm standing there at the main door, and I hear my wife going bananas. She's just yelling and screaming, and I'm like, what on earth is going on now? And so I get up to the top of the stairs, and I realize that my 1-year-old has taken my wife's phone, thrown it into the toilet.
Nice. Nice.
So snatch the snatch the phone out of the toilet, put it in a bag of rice, and just hope for the best. And so, I'm just like beside myself at this point. I set the hamburger down on the counter, and I walked into that bathroom, and I closed the door, and I said, Heavenly Father, I need some help right now. And that's all I said. And I opened that door, and I mean, not even 5 seconds, not even 5 seconds on the front door. And I'm LDS. And so I look out the window, and there's missionaries, the LDS missionaries standing down there. And, they, from time to time, they visit people in the church. And I looked at my wife and I said, did you ask the missionaries to come over today? Did they say they were coming over? And she said, no. And so I went downstairs and I opened the door up, and I said, what are you guys doing here? And they said, oh, we just felt like we needed to come by and say hi. And I said, well,
Nice.
there were 3 of them. And I said, well, you guys are in luck. Have you eaten yet? We've got 3 extra hamburgers. So we had the perfect, it was like just the way that God works
Right.
is amazing.
Yeah. But I think it is, but you only see it when you turn your life over to God.
Yeah.
Because otherwise if you without having God in your life, God's still there with you. He's always there. But you're
Yeah.
not with him. And because you're not with him, you don't know where these blessings come from. And so, as
Yeah.
of course, just like you shared, it's like, well, now I see where this blessing, like, what in the world? Like, we went from this, I would imagine, a very frustrating time. I hated my life, for my 3 minute commute, which I think people commuting from Washington D.C. to my area would be like, "What in the world is wrong with Zach? 3 minutes? I got 3 hours." But here's you got frustration that's boiled over. Now you got to come home. You don't want to cook the hamburgers. It's 100 degrees outside. I don't want to stand outside, pouring sweat. It's not what I want to do. And then come
Mm,
inside. Right, here's how much is the iPhone? $1,000. Sit in the toilet, and I could imagine the pot has now boiled over.
yeah.
Right, and it's like, well, let me not flip the tables like Jesus did, and let me just go in and tell him, God, I need help right now. And then, like, oh, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So there's I don't know. I think the way that your leadership shows your faith is an important thing. And I'm curious, what are the things that you do on a regular basis that help reinforce that?
Um, well, one is worship music. I love worship music. You know, I used to listen to like Tupac and Biggie and Eminem. Not really a Snoop guy, although I do like Snoop. But like country music too. And you think of a lot of that stuff. It's kind of just depressing, right? Or like country's usually depressing, and rap has every colorful word within you know they've spoken 3 words and somehow they've said 8 cuss words, right? So I think that the music that I used to listen to the music I listen to now, the worship music is huge, right? Especially if you're singing along because it's like you're prophesying, the word of God out from your mouth, and it's really uplifting. It's really encouraging. Other than that, of course, I read my Bible. I have to. I'm in college for it, right? But I think the biggest thing for me, Zach, aside from the worship, really, I love the worship music, is just having an attitude to allow the Spirit of God to work in my life and trying to make that a priority mindset. What does God want me to be doing? Who does He want me to be doing it with? Think about being a dad, right? How am I supposed to model Christ more being a dad? How am I supposed to model Christ more being a husband? Because the more that I model that, to me, I'm going to get blessings in my life, and I want the blessing with my kids. I want to have a great relationship with them. I want to have a great relationship with my wife. One of my favorite verses is, and I don't even remember which was it, something Matthew, something 33, whatever it is. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness,
Mm,
and all of these things will be added to you. So I guess you could, no matter how much we try, no matter how good we try to do, we're never gonna come close. And so we could spend all day reading our Bible and we're holier than thou or whatever. I don't think that's what we're supposed to do at all, because then you'll have time. I think it's just having a conscious effort. And then in a sense letting that get so planted in you that it becomes subconscious.
mm,
And so now it's just living a lifestyle of doing your best to fill your mind and with the right stuff, and then live it out. And I think you can only do that by the voices you listen to is huge. The things that you watch, like I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. Um, yeah, worship's certainly a big one for me because I like music pretty good.
mm.
What about for you?
Yeah, it's much the same. I wouldn't say that I listen to worship music, as often as I probably ought to. I still listen to most of the old stuff, but I'm noticing more and more, like, I mean, my dad was a DJ back in the 60s, so I grew up on the Beach Boys and the Beatles and
Oh yeah,
that old rock and roll stuff.
I'm trying to get me a boat, name it Kokomo.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna go look for Kokomo somewhere, Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh,
That's
I
right.
wanna take you.
But I'm noticing more and more, even like no matter how far back you go in the history of popular music, that a lot of these songs are like they have very questionable uh undertones, right? Like, and sometimes they just come right out and say it. But like, as I listen to music with my children in the car, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I never
Mm.
realized this song said these things. Do I really want this message going into my kids' heads?
Right, right. It's funny you say that. We were in Myrtle Beach a couple months ago. My brother was there, and my brother, we call him Uncle Fun because he
Mhm.
loves to have fun with the kids. And we're cruising down the strip. So if you've ever been to Myrtle Beach, have you been to Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, probably. I've been to every state except Maine and Alaska.
All right, so if you go to Myrtle Beach, they have the strip right along the ocean, and there's like tons of shops. And so before COVID and stuff, you could, it was just cars and motorcycles, and they'd kind of creep and blast the music and all that, and it was kind of fun to go to. Well, anyways, we're cruising the strip one night because I'm still a kid on the inside, and my brother is with us, and it's everybody: mom, George, my bonus dad, Amy, the kids, and my brother wants to play. Oh man, it's like an Eminem or Nelly. It wasn't Nelly because Nelly's pretty good, but oh, it was DMX. It was a DMX song. And it just talked about like how he pulled a cat, like it was like him pulling out a gun, shooting somebody. And
Hmm.
my brother thinks it's cool, and my kids are singing along. And after like 30 seconds, I was like, guys, I can't do this. Like, I love y'all, and I'm not being mean. Do you understand the words that are being spoken that you are now singing along to? And so once we put it into perspective, because they weren't thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
It was almost like on autopilot. And then once they thought about it, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be maybe I shouldn't be thinking about putting a cap in somebody's rear end.
It's crazy like how many songs are just like that, that and I mean John Cougar Mellencamp songs, you know. You listen to John Cougar Mellencamp songs and you're like, wait a second. I, is he really talking? I don't
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't listen to this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
but there's some that are great, right? There's
Yeah, yeah.
some songs that there's a really good message behind
Yeah,
it.
for sure. For sure. Um, all right, so I've I don't think we're gonna get Evangeline today.
Well, that's all right. I've had a great time. This has been awesome, Zach. Thank you. And I'm really
Yeah,
proud of you and Evangeline for doing this. It's really cool for you guys to team up like that. Good job.
yeah. She was so many people this year have asked me. It's like people have asked me in the past, but so many people this year from January until now have asked me, "Do you do podcasts?" And I was like, "Not really, no." And they said, "I've done a couple in the past, but they never really went anywhere." And I was like, "Well, why do you ask?" And they said, "Well, because you have a voice for podcasting." I was like, "All right, sure." And then when Evangeline, came along a couple of weeks ago and she was like, "Hey, we should do a podcast together." I was like, "Okay, why
Yeah,
not?
nice.
Let's do it." It's almost like when I was telling my wife whenever I met her, sometimes I'm so thick that God just has to like slap me right in the face with something.
Yep.
And it's like, here, it's this one. This is the one that you're going to marry right here.
Yep.
Just, and it, he put Evangeline in my life to be like, okay, look, just do it. All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both of you, I've watched you both grow. And some people join the Maxwell team because we're all on the Maxwell team, and some people join to never do anything with it.
Hmm.
Some people join, they're just like the Bible says, right? The seed sprouts up, but then the weeds choke it out, or the sun scorches it and it withers. So they kind
Right.
of pop up and then they go away real quick. But you two have really, I mean, y'all are on like every call. You're taking action. I mean, I watch you and talk with you on the leadership game calls about stuff that you're doing. It's really awesome to see. So not only are both of you, kind of really plugged in, doing something, but now here's the kind of these two superstars that are teaming up. And it's like, this is awesome. This is really gonna, this is gold. So I'm really glad to see it happen.
Well, I appreciate it. All right. So we're going to do one final round here. And this is kind of like the rapid fire, quick answer kind of a thing. Some people, some people don't answer these as quickly. They take their time. It's up to you. However you want to answer it is fine. But
All
I'm just going
right.
to run through a few questions here real quick, and then you can give me whatever whatever answer pops into your brain.
Now, you know, my I personality might have to give me a silent card.
That's all right. We got gigabytes of storage that we can.
All right, what you got? Fire away.
All right. So, what is one book that shaped how you think about leadership?
Oh man, I love the 15 laws of growth.
Mm,
15 laws of growth. Tell you why is I love law number one, the law of intentionality. If
mm,
you want to grow, you have to be intentional. And I love that, not just about business. I actually don't, I do like it for business. I get it in business, but I'm naturally intentional in that area of life. If you want a successful marriage, which is huge in my life,
mhm.
you have to be intentional, meaning you can't wait for your spouse to do it. You have to do it. And I tell you very clearly, Zach, that happened for me when Amy and I, and what I didn't share is when like when the bottom of the valley hit was literally we were in the hospital having our baby girl, our
Mm,
first daughter Aurora, our only daughter, and Amy and I have been together since high school. You know, we're high school sweethearts, and so okay, when we were there and right afterwards, it was as if when we held hands, you could feel a gap.
mm.
And I didn't like that. It felt, I never felt like that before. It just felt that there was something trying to get between us. Faith would be, you know, the enemy wants to still kill and destroy. So to me, it was just that book. You know, of course, that book, it's like the Bible for personal growth, right? It talks about, you know, awareness. You got to know yourself to grow yourself. It talks about modeling, you know, it talks about environment. You know, like you're going to be the average of the five people. It's just a great book, profound
Yeah,
book.
I agree, and I love the intent because it's that goes back to even what we were discussing about the music. You've got to be putting things into your mind and into your body on purpose. If you're not living with intent, then you're just allowing life to happen to you, and you're gonna get whatever it serves up.
Yeah, you're comfortably you're in the comfort zone, and the comfort zone's a dangerous
Yeah,
place because you're just coasting downhill all the way, and you shouldn't be you shouldn't be downhill sliding. You should be uphill climbing.
yeah,
So if you think about everything in life, look outside of the plants, look outside of the trees. Everything in life is either seeking fuller life, it's trying to grow, even though you don't see it trying to grow, it is trying to grow, or it's dying. It's the same for us. And how many people do we see sit around talking about the good old days? We could only go back, and they're just sitting on autopilot, and it's like they're waiting to the end of their days. And it's like, man, get out there and make something of yourself. So, yeah, I love that book. It's a great book. If you don't
yeah.
have the book, get the book. Read the book. Feel mastermind on the book.
Yep, yep. I agree. So what is one failure that you are grateful for today?
I was losing my car dealership. The whole thing, the valley, you know, because
Mm,
that led me to the John Maxwell team. It deepened my faith. It strengthened, like I'm like a warrior, right? For faith. If I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have. Um, so I am. I'm very, as hard as it was, I'm grateful for that because that's made me who I am today.
What's one principle or belief that kind of anchors you?
Oh man, I know I put something for this, but I'm not recalling what it is. What's one principle or belief that anchors me? Um, there's a lot that comes to my mind, Zach. Um, I mean, obviously, as everybody well knows by this time about our faith, but one of my favorite scriptures is Colossians 1:24 or something. I think that's what it is. Somebody can fact check it, but it says this is not what I put on the pre-show notes or whatever.
Mm.
But it says in that verse that the secret that has been kept hidden for generations, but is now revealed to you, is it is Christ in you, the hope of glory. That angers me. That angers me to know because the Bible is truth, that I have the greatest force in the universe living inside me.
Hmm.
And that's probably the strongest anchor. I know that's not what I put on the show notes that we did, but that's what's coming to me right now, and it's a good one. um,
I love it, man.
yeah. Well, okay. I like that because, and then I'll shut my mouth about this one. A lot of people have faith, but a lot of people don't ever know that one verse.
Hmm.
Actually, I've never heard somebody refer to that verse. But when I read it, it like jumped off of the Bible page at me.
Hmm.
Because it's one thing to say, right, there's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus says, I will send one after me who is greater than me. But it's a whole other thing to hear, it is Christ in you. It is Christ in you. It is Christ in you. That's just, and who was Christ? Christ was the dude that got up from the dead. I want that in my life. It's a very strong anchor for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Evangeline, good to see you.
Hey, we got
54 minutes
Evangeline.
late.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Evangeline.
Jason, I apologize. I got the wrong conversion. I thought it was 11 a.m. my time, which is Mountain Standard. So we gotta apologize. But I'm sure Zach got a lot out of you. So I'm just so thankful that you're here. And thank you for your generosity with your time. I know it's almost Christmas, but we're so glad you're here. I gotta do it again, and I'll be on time for sure.
Well,
Physical therapy going on. I rescheduled it so that I can be on time with you, but again, sorry about that.
no worries, no worries. I was telling Zach a little while ago how proud I am of both of you and just your growth. And I love seeing the two of you guys team up on doing this and collaborating together. And I think you're going to be just superstars, even more so than you already are, teamed up together. And of course you're forgiven. I know you're forgiven. It's fine. And I think we talked about it because when we went to schedule this, it was like I had to pick a time, but I went on Zach's calendar and I was like, well, 11 a.m. is like not available on the calendar. So I scheduled it for Saturday. And then Evangeline's like, no, 11's good. So it's all good. All good.
Yeah, I thought it's 11 my time. Anyways, yeah, I have to watch, the whole thing, but one thing I'm curious about, I know you're doing great in your business, in your leadership, in your family. How do you balance all of that? And do you have like a role model of how you do leadership in every area of your life?
That's good. And thank you, by the way. Thank you. I'm just doing my best. Role models would be, well, number one is I try to, Zach and I have been talking about faith kind of the entire thing. But I just really try to let God work in my life. And then role models is John. John obviously is a big role model to me. And John talked about you can't. There's no such thing as time management. We can't manage time because time is not ours to manage it. We can't control it, but we can control our priorities. And so I try to do priority management and take, well, what's my top priorities in life? Well, my top priority in life outside of my faith is my family, because I won't get today back with them. And so I want to make the most of that. And there's a lot of people that they wake up every morning and they go this way, they go to the right, and then their spouse goes to the left. And they don't see each other until, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. They don't really do life together. I don't want that because I don't know the number of my days. Now, I've made a deal with God, but I don't know if God's made the deal with me. But the deal is that Amy and I are going to be 120 years of age, go to sleep healthy and whole one night, holding hands, cuddling, and we're going to wake up the next morning in heaven. Don't know if that's his deal for me, but it sounded pretty good in my mind. So I just try to really prioritize my faith first, try to prioritize my family second, try to prioritize everything else after that. And then I look at, okay, well, what are the things that I need to do, right? Like my deep personality is all about results. What are the results I need today and what am I doing to get those results? And then out of those results that I'm trying to get, if we're doing the Pareto principle, the 80-20, what's the top two results that I want out of today? Let me focus on those. So I really try to be intentional with priorities. Big thing for my life.
I love that intentionality, right? So many people, I had so many dying patients tell me their greatest regret was they worked too hard. They
Yeah.
forgot about their family and then they die alone, So that's something that we don't want to happen to anybody. So thank you so much. I'm sure our listeners are getting, I pray and I hope that a lot of men really get this, even, the spiritual leadership in the family, having God first, in order priorities and then family. And then
What?
everything else comes after.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. My pleasure. It's been a joy to be with you guys today. Absolute joy. I would do this any day.
That's awesome. All right, so we're going to transition out here, but and I know I'm glad that Evangeline was able to join us here at the end. I regret that you, we got things messed up, but we'll figure that out. We'll get everything straightened out, and make sure that we're aligned as we go in the future.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned from Jason today is my favorite things that he said was how to be all right when there's nothing left. I love that. That really makes uh, it puts things into perspective, right? So Jason and I were talking about this, and it was uh, being okay with the challenging times in your life, right? That's the lesson that I took from it. Like, everybody's going to have challenges. There's always going to be my unofficial mentor, Peter Daniels, always talked about this. He said, if you want no problems, then go down the street here where the cemetery is, and you'll find all the people in the world have no problems. You should thank God for all the problems that you have while you're alive, because that's how you know you're alive, right? You got problems. Everybody's got problems. But, being okay with those things, being okay with the fact that times are going to be challenging, and it's all how you deal with it, how you choose to deal with it. And you have that choice to make, right?
Yeah.
It's a choice that you make, and it's not a choice that you necessarily make in that moment. It's a choice that you make over and over every day for how your life is going to be. And that's what we're talking about when we say live with intent, live with purpose, right? You set yourself up, the days that are challenging, you set yourself up for how you're going to handle those days by all the days in between. What are the things that you do on a daily basis? What are the habits that you intentionally install into yourself? And so that's for me the biggest takeaway from this. So I really appreciate it, Jason, and I appreciate you, Evangeline, and I love you both, and I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. And I'll leave it to Evangeline to take us out. If there's anything that you want to ask or anything that you want to say, feel free to wrap things up here.
Thank you so much, Zach, for your leadership. And thank you for the takeaway. One more question for Jason. If we have to put your one thing like on the billboard and something you want to be known for, what's that one phrase?
You
Or
can't blend in. You can't blend in when you're born to stand out, Evangeline.
oh my God, I need that, Jason.
Well, hey, wait, because you're called to be salt and light,
Yeah,
right? Like light makes things brighter and salt makes things better. Well, you can't do that when you're blending into the crowd.
yeah.
So no matter who, for you guys, no matter who listens, who watches, let your light shine because you're a difference maker. And so don't blend in. You were created and born to stand out.
I love that. Really. Yeah, I learned that very early on. That, you know, it's like you're set apart, you're cold. I mean, of course, I didn't know that at a young age. I just thought that I never fit in. So,
Mm,
but so many leaders feel that the loneliness of, you feel like you're alone, nobody believes in you. But right now, we are surrounded by so many mentors. And that's one of the things that I want to encourage our leaders is to be surrounded with all leaders who also first believe in God and in the gifts that He has given us, and then in one another, right? So thank you so much,
Good.
Jason. I'm gonna watch the whole episode and then we'll invite you again.
I would love to do it again.
Next
Yes. Well,
year.
Merry Christmas, gang. Love
Merry
you guys so
Christmas.
much.
Oh, before you go,
Yeah.
is there anything that you would like to put out there? Like, if people want to contact you, do you want them to contact you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they can reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, I don't care if you give my phone number, 540-891-CARS. You can call. You can email success@fastlaneleadership.com. Yeah, I mean, I like to say it like this, gang. I'm Jason and I'm your friend. Now the question is, will you be my friend?
Awesome.
Thank you, Jason. We love you. We love your family. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Zach. See you guys.
If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment to like the video and drop a comment below. We read them, and we love hearing what stood out to you. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when new conversations are released. And please share this with someone who needs to hear it, a colleague, a friend, someone you're leading, or someone who's leading you. If you'd ever like to be a guest or you know a leader whose story deserves to be heard, please reach out. We're always looking for meaningful conversations.